As the ancient WWE proverb goes, if a bad idea is worth doing once, then it's worth doing several times, because bloody hell, it's hard to write over 7 hours of wrestling a week. There's a lot of fun to be had remembering all the ass-bobbing stipulations that WWE have dropped at our feet like a cat depositing half a bird on your pillow in the morning. But it gets even weirder when you consider that some of their very worst ideas happened on multiple occasions. There have been 3 Punjabi prison matches, and that's the wrestling equivalent of scrofula. Somehow there's been more than one hog pen match in WWE history, Triple H versus a Godwin, and a handicap hog pen match, I think, because sure, why not? Even the much-mocked Ambrose Asylum match was technically done twice. Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano blew off their feud in NXT in a crazy cage lined with silly weapons at TakeOver Toronto, so trawling through the big dub's history to find stupid ideas they've only done once has actually been really hard, but I did my best, gang. For you, always for you. Hate this life. I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown. Here are our 10 stupidest one-time WWE stipulations. Honorable mention, Kennel from Hell, because we mention it all the time. Every list mentions it all the time. 2 cages, dogs in between, the dogs did a poopy instead of, I honestly don't know what WWE expected the dogs to do. This time around, I tried to get a list of 10 things that either you've completely forgotten or at least aren't mentioned all the time. So there. Number 10, stairs match. Ladder matches are the best. Tables matches are the second best. Chairs matches are bad when the Big Show isn't bringing out a hilarious giant chair, state of that prop comedy. But the distant worst TLC stip ever created is the stairs match, very much the Zeppo of the quartet, although that's unfair. Zeppo Marks was actually secretly great. At TLC 2014, WWE tested adding a 4th member to the vaunted TLC trio, much like how Razonda Chili Thomas was added to TLC in real life, but this time there were much worse results. The stairs match blew the fat one, with the 2 slowest wrestlers on the roster, Eric Rowan and Big Show, having the slowest match of all time, slowly bonking each other with some steps for somehow over 10 minutes. Only so many things you can do with steps, turns out. And when the whole running through a wall of them spot didn't even slightly pop the crowd, WWE knew the gimmick was dead in the water. Number 9, look, sexy women. There's just so many one-off look sexy women WWE stipulations. Throw a bunch of nouns together, throw a bunch of women together, and then hint at tits until Jerry Lawler dies. Job done, dignity for all. There's the Hojack match between Mark Henry and Godfather, a lumberjack match but with a million sex workers surrounding the ring for some kind of sexual chocolate mind games. The 4 Corners evening gown pool match at Armageddon 1999, where the WWE Women's Championship was decided by who got their wet dress ripped off last in an incomprehensible maelstrom of splashing. The thong stink face match between Kat and Terry at SummerSlam 2000, where the loser was whoever was the first to have their opponent's arsehole rubbed in their face. And then the over-the-top, off-with-the-top match on Raw in 2000, where Lawler wrestled Dean Malenko. Lawler represented the Cat, Malenko rep Terry, and if either man got thrown over the top rope, their woman had to take off some clothing. Fun fact, that match saw the very first appearance of the right to censor gimmick. Number 8, Summer Games relay match. The Olympics, you know, that thing we pretend to care about every 4 years. Now that I've ensured that the comments of this video will be full of people pretending to care about watching people run for 200 meters, I can talk about this long-forgotten stipulation WWE aired on SmackDown in 2004 to coincide with the Athens Olympics. They called it the Summer Games relay match because if they used the word Olympics, the IOC would have sued the living dick off them, and it featured John Cena, Charlie Haas, and RVD versus Booker T, Rene Dupree, and Luther Reigns. It was a weird mashup of sort of war games, sort of 6-man tag, but also it was a singles match. Look, stay with me. The match would start with 2 men in the ring, but then every 5 minutes, if no one had won, one of the teams could swap out a team member with a fresh man, creating a new singles match, and then after 5 more minutes, the other team could swap out a man. The fresh man advantage sort of war games, but without any escalation. It was so stop-start, and of course, it was long, really long, so that everyone in the match could wrestle, and it just killed the crowd. Fair play for trying something new, but Lord, was it a long time for a little payoff. Number 7, Amateur Wrestling Challenge. You know what wrestling needs? Victory points. As a board gamer, you might expect me to clap my playing card calloused hands together at the concept of points-based wrestling, but no, it's confusing to the point of being utterly tedious, and that's not what board games are about at all. Shut up, it isn't. In January 2011, Jack Swagger wrestled Kofi Kingston in the one-and-done Amateur Wrestling Challenge, because Jack Swagger's entire gimmick has always been, can actually wrestle a bit, so it doesn't matter about any of his other flaws. Stop thinking about his other flaws. The rules are 2 points for a takedown, 1 point for a reversal, 1 point for an escape, 2 points for having their opponent's shoulders down, but you could also win by pinfall, or whoever has most points at the end of 3 minutes. Easy, right? Well, in theory, I suppose, but most of the fans aren't able to recognize these things as they happen in real time, and the commentators couldn't even, so the 2 men just sort of tussled for a while as points seemed to arbitrarily tick up up for almost no reaction, as even the commentators are confused and they have to ask each other, wait, was that a point? Wait, was that 2 points? At one point, the match even stops so Swagger could tell the ref that his points are wrong and that he should have 2 more, and the ref just shrugs and gives them to him. This is awful TV. Number 6, Crybaby match. Dignity, you can't buy it. So Razor Ramon had a famous rivalry with the 1-2-3 Kid in the New Generation. 1-2-3 Kid actually got that name because he was the jobber who got a shocking 1-2-3 pinfall over Razor on Raw in possibly the first all-time great Raw moment in history. Over the next few years, Razor and 1-2-3 Kid would feud, team up, be friends, be enemies until 1996 and In Your House 6. See, 1-2-3 Kid had turned heel to join the $1 Million Corporation. Razor couldn't have that. Instead of a normal match, though, a pay-per-view, because I guess 1-2-3 Kid is slightly smaller than other men, which automatically makes him a little actual child boy in WWE's eyes. So they had a crybaby match where the loser would have to wear a diaper. Kid lost, Ramon straddled him and affixed him with a nappy, and you don't come back from that. And he didn't. 1-2-3 Kid left for WCW shortly afterwards before returning as X-Pac. Don't mention nappies anymore. Please don't. Number 5, Gulf of Mexico match. This one's really dumb. So remember WWE ECW when the Big Dub took the once most idiosyncratic promotion in the 90s and turned it into essentially the first run of WWE main event? Like, as a borderline developmental brand? Sure, okay, but there was a significant lack of extreme in ECW. You know what? If all the extreme rules are as weird as the Gulf of Mexico match, that's fine. Chavo Guerrero was ECW champion and feuding with CM Punk as ECW came to Corpus Christi, Texas, to an arena that was next to the Gulf of Mexico. So the 2 men had a match. The rules were the first person to throw their opponent in the river won. Simple as that. Like, the match wasn't actually, like, terrible. Slightly dull, walk, punch, walk some more, punch. But like the boss, they went down to the river and into the river. Chavo dived. Well, fell after a GTS, but same difference. Hope he didn't swallow any of that water. Anyway, even though WWE has been back to Corpus Christi multiple times, most recently for SmackDown in 2018, they never did another Gulf of Mexico match because, well, you wouldn't. Number 4, broken glass arm wrestling match. Bloody hell, WWE love doing the arm wrestling segment, and it always ends the exact same fucking way. The face and heel back and forth it for a while. Looks like the heel's gonna lose, so they blindside the face and toss aside the table. Like every single fucking time. But hey, I'll give them props for this time around. They tried something they'd never done before or since. In an August 2008 episode of SmackDown, Triple H was feuding with the great Khali. Poor lad. And ahead of their SummerSlam match, they met for an arm wrestling match, with the twist being that sheets of broken glass would be set on the table and you'd win by smashing your opponent's hand into the shards. Like, damn WWE, when did you get so gnarly? This was after WWE went PG as well. God damn. So Triple H cut a promo on Ranjin Singh where he called him Onion a bunch. That holds up, sure, why not? And then the 2 arm wrestled. It looked like Khali would lose, so he blindsided Triple H and tossed the table aside, rendering the one and done stip utterly pointless. Number 3, the House of Horrors match. I love this match so much. It is such pure awful bullshit. But that tractor is iconic. That haunted tractor is my president. Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton were having a Bray Wyatt feud, so there were houses being burned down, maggots in the ring, incomprehensible promos. You know how it be. And it ended in a House of Horrors match, a cinematic match set in Bray's spooky house, and by cinematic I mean Jackbox Trivia Murder Party, the movie, when you just take everything that's air quotes scary and shoved it in a house. Decapitated dolls, flickering lights, headache-inducing editing, Jinder Mahal holding the WWE Championship, which is chilling, and a dirty fridge. As a match, it's dreadful. Mostly just Randy Orton walking around a house belonging to history's least original serial killer, followed by punching, grunting, and Bray Wyatt saying things like, "Welcome to hell, sure, Bray." As a one-off piece of crap wrestling, it is so very funny. I'll never be truly mad at it. If Bray Wyatt does return to WWE, please do it again. Please. Number 2, Mini Royal Rumble. WWE has something of a checkered past with mini wrestling. On one hand, in the mid-90s, whenever mini wrestlers would appear on screen, they would essentially be treated like children, because there's nothing that little people like more than jumping on adults' laps like it's Christmas time and all the adults in the world are Saint Nick. You had the short-lived Juniors division on SmackDown in 2005 that featured super talented mini wrestlers from around the world, but gave them a logo that looked like a rejected Nickelodeon show. I mean, they're adult people, WWE. Why are you like this? On the other hand, the WLC match slapped, and is possibly the only time that the Hornswoggle character has been unironically entertaining. This match here falls bang between the 2 extremes. A Royal Rumble populated by mini wrestlers, namely Hornswoggle and the mini version of famous wrestlers. Mini Mr. Kennedy, Mini Batista, Mini Kane, Ludacris. And then, because WWE is to comedy what a hammer is to an egg, out comes the great Khali at the end to also take part. Just descends into a brawl between him and Finlay. It's very stupid, kind of endearing, sort of, but there's a lazy finish, and it's never seen again. And number 1, Eye for an an eye match. Of course, you could see what WWE were trying to do here. Something, anything to make pandemic wrestling actually sound like something that you would want to watch. They went a bit mad for a while back there, throwing insane ideas at the wall as the audience slipped away, because who wants to watch wrestling without a crowd, and who wants to watch wrestling in a fucking global health crisis? The greatest wrestling match ever, Boneyard match, the Money in the Bank in WWE's office headquarters. Like, these are actually quite ambitious, fun ideas that are so off the wall they generate a kind of hype through sheer curiosity. And then there's the eye for an eye match, where you can only win by removing one of your opponent's eyes. An idea so actually gruesome that A, no one wanted to see it, and B, no one actually expected it to happen. So the perfect storm of anti-hype. What's worse than that, before the wrestlers eventually had to grapple with the gimmick itself, the match went hard. Rollins and Mysterio are brilliant together, but yeah, Rey Mysterio's table tennis ball that he apparently keeps in his mask for good luck popped out, sort of, a bit, and then it was over. What a stupid thing. Thanks, WWE. Here's hoping that when Extreme Rules comes around in October, they have a kill your opponent with a gun match. That would be equally fun. And that's our list. What's your favorite terrible wrestling stipulation? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Parts Unknown for more silly wrestling content. Never forget to jam that jam.